TSM beat earnings pretty substantially. They are projecting between 22.4 billion and 23.2 billion. They did 23.6 billion in revenue. We don't have profit yet, but that's just they do it weird in Taiwan, and they release earnings monthly, I believe, and then they still do a big quarterly thing, and that'll be in about a week. I believe it's the 17th. So keep an eye on that. But in terms of revenue, they beat substantially, right? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. I think TSM is an incredible company. It's my number one holding. I believe in it long term. I think it's really safe. Their competitors don't make any money. Intel's not projected to be profitable by their own metric until 2027, I believe. So 3 years, 3+ years. And that's if you take their word for it. Intel hasn't really been known for being the most reliable. Their word, they're often miss their projections. So, but if you take their word for it, they'll be profitable in about 3 years. So break even, by 2027. Samsung is not doing good. You can look it up. I haven't covered them because their shares are almost impossible to get in the United States. Well, you can. They don't do ADRs, so I'm assuming most people do not own Samsung, so I'm not going to do a video on it, but because it's on topic with TSM, they literally are apologizing to their investors because of how poor their performance has been. So TSM is just great. They stick out like a sore thumb in a good way against their competitors. I mean, they're doing phenomenal. If we look here at revenue, their highest ever was last quarter at 20.8. They had a little bit higher revenue in the end of 2022 with quarter 3 and quarter 4 just because of demand being insanely high, and margins were up there as well. But so we'll be at 23.6 in terms of revenue. We'll see for profit, but it should be quite a bit. Yeah, no, it's great. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised one bit. Like I said, it's my number one holding. I expect them to do well. I'm counting on them doing well, right? I have my money with them. I think they're gonna keep doing great. I do. This is something to be excited about. I think it also bodes well for other chip companies like Nvidia and AMD. If they're selling more, they're selling it to someone clearly. They haven't released who yet, but probably a pretty good guess that's mostly built on AI stuff. Also, you'll know if you watched my long video, which probably most of you have not, that TSM is still supply capped through their own words in the last earnings call through 2026, likely. Or at least through 2025, I believe. Maybe into 20. They want it at the end of 2025. I think they said 2026, actually. At least a year. So, there's more money to be made here. Shares were up a little bit. Not substantially, about 1%, but it's for the long term, right? If they keep growing earnings long term, that's what I care about. Okay, let's read a little bit more of this. 36.5% on the year for the quarter. And I believe it was a little bit more for, 39.6 for the month for September. Basically a 40% year-over-year increase in revenue, which is just phenomenal. I mean, and they had a decent year last year too. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. So yeah, no, this is awesome. The stock has went up a lot this year, but if you're a long-term investor in TSM, this is great. Even if share price doesn't reflect it immediately, it's a very, very good thing. Because the market will always be high and low on specific stocks, assuming leadership and they keep performing the way we think they will as a company, right? They keep winning, they keep being profitable, they keep innovating. But the market depending on the day, the year, the month, whatever it may be. It's always, this company will probably bounce always forever between that 15 PE and 35 PE as long as they continue to do well, right? So we're towards the top of it, but even if the share price isn't reflected, you're moving the goalposts, right? It is moving the range of outcomes because that 15 PE is now at a higher share price because they're now making more money. I mean, technically we don't know that, but with revenue jumping this substantially, it's hard to not assume that. We do not know how they guide. That'll be released in the quarterly earnings report in about a week, and I'll talk about that as well. So this is going to be a quicker video, but I think I covered what I wanted to. TSM is a great company. I'm going to keep adding for them, and they're going to keep winning, and I'm going to keep pointing and say, hey, I called this, because there's videos out to prove it from months ago. This one happens to be weeks, but same thing. So I appreciate you guys watching. Leave a like if you're new. All the good stuff. So I'll catch you guys later. See ya.